Okay, here we are. Here we are. We're here. Um, I wanted to live stream today because this was going to be the only time I really had time to do it. Probably this week. So I was trying to think about this morning. I was not overly inspired this morning. Need to open up my blinds. I don't have enough light going on in here. I'll do it after a while. Gotta change my thing, my banner up to my guy. The main thing that's been on my mind, because PVK has been, I don't know, is PVK in is he in Ireland right now? Anyhow, the main thing that's been on my mind has been Sam Tiedemann's talk with Aaron Renn about, I think it's mainly about negative world. What's the title of it? It's shifting vibes in a negative world. So he has a blog and he wrote a book, I think, called Life in a Negative World. And so it's how, I can't remember what he has for the dates, but essentially, you think about from America's founding up until, I don't know, like essentially till I was a kid, we lived in a very, I think he would say the culture, the basic cultural milieu of America was Protestant, which is something that's not uncommon to talk about in this corner. It's a very majorly Protestant, some Catholic influence, but even the Catholics are Protestant spiritually, culturally in America. And then about, like, when I was a kid, whatever, 80s, 90s, we kind of switched to a neutral world, which is probably really correlated to a lot of set stuff, to talk about Grimm, to bring in television. We were raised by television, and so you're getting into kind of like urban monoculture kind of, but like, how is urban monoculture different from metagelicalism? The urban monoculture is the twins. What are their names? Based Camp. People call them the twins because they look similarly, but those two smarty pants who are creating their own religion and having lots of kids, very pro-natalist. Yeah, Simone and Malcolm. There you go. Thank you. Nice to see you also, buddy. And so that's the urban monoculture, which is basically an idea of like secularity, but then you bring in Tom Holland in America and say there is no secularity, is kind of it's a mythos, and I would say somewhat of a delusional mythos of just like a modernist, scientific, post-enlightenment worldview, which is kind of like the new atheists, and it's how a lot of people talk. I actually think it's connected to Christianity, obviously, because it came out of Christianity. That's how everything is relative but not arbitrary. And America's clearly Christian, was founded by Christians with Christian values. And even now, within the modern world, most people have a kind of tacit Christian values. They follow the golden rule, and it's care for the oppressed, the weak, the outsiders. It's very Jewish Christian. I mean, the whole Jewish thing is based on, Moses coming out of Egypt, slaves, the Collinses. Thank you, RJ. And so we're in that kind of a world, but it's definitely a Protestant and a proto-evangelical stripe of it. And so you could say it's the urban monoculture. The urban monoculture is essentially metagelicalism this is what I was thinking of, but without acknowledging the religious inheritance and just assuming the values are, just, this is liberalism, right? Neoliberalism, or not, maybe it's not neoliberalism. Sorry. Sometimes I use words, and then people that are more left-brained precision word oriented, or just like, that's not what that word means. I did the other day in regard to fundamentalism, and it wasn't exactly the historical movement related to fundamentalism, but I just meant fundamentalist in terms of like, you adhere, you're very focused on the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. You're very focused on the text and not the context. And then you judge people according to just what you think is the objective text. That to me is a fundamentalist. Whatever the prescription is, it's a hyper left-brainedism. It's where the emissary, it's where you're trying to make the emissary the master and not the master. You're not recognized that the master is the master. Hey, sweet. So what's up? Good to see you, William Pickens, JD. Good to see you, brother. I don't even know what you're referencing anymore. What your wife does, I forget. We're getting there, Matt. I want you to come in here and play with me, by the way. Talk to me about Charles Williams. So we're going back to Aaron Renn. So he talks about the negative world. So we're circling back to Aaron Renn. I went off talking about America and urban monoculture and metagelicalism, and that America's Protestant, whether explicitly or implicitly. And so it was very overtly and consciously Christian and Protestant, though. And then my upbringing, advents of technology, medium and message stuff, McLuhan, we kind of started going toward a neutral world, he says at the beginning of the Sam conversation. And then he said, what was the date? Did he say 2014? What did he say? Something like that. Early 2010s. He said that we went into a negative world where there were negative associations in regard to Christianity. He said institutionally and culturally, labeling yourself Christian, probably outside of the Midwest, then the Bible Belt, no longer had, you could probably say it this way, it no longer had transactional value. You couldn't just say, I am a Christian as a shorthand, and then people would think of that positively, necessarily. There were negative associations with identifying that way, culturally and institutionally. I think that's what he means, largely. It went, which in a way is somewhat good for actual Christianity, and like a Kierkegaardian, if everyone's a Christian, no one is a Christian thing. If Christian, then this gets into Paul Kingsnorth and Christian civilization, because if labeling yourself a Christian has buying power, in whatever sense you want to say buying power, mammon, transactional value, then there's a huge negative incentive to lie about that, or to call yourself a Christian just to get stuff because it's transactional. And we all know you can't serve God and mammon. One of my favorite verses of the Bible. You can't serve God and transactionalism. Your relationship with God cannot be transactional. Let's take it all the way back to Abraham, the founder of the Abrahamic faiths, obviously, and Abraham and Isaac. I would argue that you cannot serve God and mammon is the extracted propositional essence of that story. But I was just talking to my wife about this, and with our kids, I'm going to circle in, bringing in the kids and the family and the personal. Yeah, I think, let me wrap up the Aaron Renn thing and then talk about the personal, and then I'll open this up because I'm just winging this. I wasn't greatly inspired this morning. So Aaron Renn said many great things in that conversation. The comment that he said that I think is worth the price of admission, let me go find it. I'm going to share screen, find the comment, make this bigger so we don't have a bunch of stupid stuff in the way. Wrap up the Aaron Renn thing, come back to family, okay? So here's Sam and Mr. Renn. Okay, let's go. Let's make comments bigger. Steven, we can see Steven's there in the comments. I don't want you to see what my algo is serving me up on the side. Come on, baby. It's basically just like podcasts, Rogan, MMA. Okay. This is a really great comment here. Like, they talk about the legitimacy, because Aaron Renn said, he's talking about Protestantism, Catholicism, Orthodoxy, and he was talking about the legitimacy of Orthodoxy, and that, like, it's very traditional, very constant, very arc-like versus speedboat-like. If you think about the TLC thing, like, Orthodoxy is very slow-moving and giant and like an arc. It's hard to make changes. And evangelicalism is like speedboats, which is very American, very metagelical, very quick, when you're reacting to the market and selling stuff, buying and trading, consumerism. It's very American. But then they ask the question of, would you like to live in an Orthodox country? So, like, if you think of a country like an Eastern European country, or Greece or Georgia or whatever, do you want to live in a very Orthodox country that's been Orthodox for centuries, if not millennia? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Why does everybody love America so much? Well, America's very Protestant. What are the strengths? Part of this is I'm working out the strengths and the weaknesses of Protestantism, both abstract and theoretically, but also within myself, because I'm American. I'm culturally Protestant, even though I'm now a practicing Orthodox. Sam, nicely. Hope I didn't offend you. No, you didn't. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, I just want to get to the main comment that I thought was very good. They had a lot of great stuff. Is Eastern Orthodoxy a foreign faith? Because Aaron Renn said that. What did he call it? He said, "Oh, it's expatriating," which I thought was an interesting way of seeing it. Like, for an American to convert to Orthodoxy, he equated it to being an expatriate, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I think there's truth to that, Although, Stephen and I were doing some conversations with, maybe Stephen, I know this is a busy time for you. Maybe you'll be able to pop in, because we were doing some conversations about that. But the MJ is here. Look at you, MJ, you little cutie. All right. Where's the comment? The main comment I want to highlight. Here we go. This one. Now, the political stuff is popping off. Trump is doing a lot of stuff. Elon's doing a lot of stuff with Doge, USAID. Immigration, people are mad, people are happy. There's a lot of things going on. This part I thought was incredibly well stated, and I think it's true. I'm of the opinion that Christianity doesn't tell you how to govern the country in any real specifics. Amen. Worth the price of admission. I think that is very true. And yeah, I know Sam or Paul. Paul banned MJ. I did not, because although I follow Paul, I don't follow him in lockstep. And MJ asked if he was going to be banned on my channel. I said, no, you're not, because I don't know what it would take for me to ban someone. Let's not find out. Cast into outer darkness in hopes that he would then repent. We'll see. But I really don't think this is I think one of the points to get out of the culture war is that if Christians both, because Jonathan Haidt, his book, why good people disagree about politics and religion. What's I only ever remember the subtitle of that book. What's the main one? Is it Happiness Hypothesis? No, what is it? What's the book? Somebody tell me. Anyhow, Jonathan Haidt has a book where he basically says that the main reason that people disagree is just temperament, their psychological temperament, their preferences. It's not objectivity, because the way that your prefrontal cortex and objectivity and everything works, and the tacit dimension, Michael Polanyi, is that you reason retroactively according to your values. So you have innate values that are formed by your temperament, by your context, by your upbringing, by your parents, by your religious, all these different things. You have values that are that come from so many places that it's almost difficult to enumerate and to propositionally talk about. And then you reason backwards, because we're not really reasonable. We're not rational. We are rational, but we're not logic machines. Our values are deeper than your rational propositional ability to articulate why you hold your values. They are much more complex. And so you losing my whole track. Where was I before I started talking about values and rationality? Aaron Renn. Oh, Jonathan Haidt. And so he says, why do people disagree? It's really largely temperament, which I think is largely true. And then this is the problem when you self-identify with a religious tradition, like Christianity, for example. So Aaron Renn is just talking about Christianity, and he's saying the Bible and religious tradition does not tell you how to run a country. Now, that's very connected with Christian nationalism, or the idea of nationalism, and the idea of Christian civilization and Christian empire, right? Because if you automatically draw that line and you connect that my Christian value tells me how to run a country and it's this way and not that way, like, should we let in immigrants? And should we allow illegal immigrants to stay, or should we kick them out? You know, that conversation that's going on right now. There are two sides. We have it even within the TLC. Although the TLC skews largely conservative, I think on some of these topics. I think that's a idea that people say. I mean, I don't actually know that that's true. And people want to argue vehemently and earnestly and passionately for their political opinions based on their religious viewpoints. And I agree with Aaron Renn that within Christianity, you can't do that. Or it's just, I would say it's invalid, because Christianity allows for all sorts of viewpoints, which is kind of connected to a little bit of that, what I was talking about in my last podcast of that unregistered Thaddeus Russell thing, where he was arguing. It's actually really connected to that. Now I'm starting to see strings and connections that I didn't see before. Look, there's unconscious things that I wasn't ready for this live stream with. Talking about the founding of America, and that it was really, I mean, a lot of people have talked about this. It was deists. I think Sam would say that a lot of them were biblical Unitarians. I think a lot of that's probably true, but there was a lot of Protestantism. Like, a lot of those, it's very difficult to say that it was a Christian country. It was complicated. You know, you have like, this is like a, what's that Ben Stiller movie with Cameron Diaz? It's like my hair. It's gross. So yeah, that's the main. I'm fulfilling my title. I think you can't really argue from your religious conviction that people should agree with you politically about your opinions on policy. I think that's a dead end road, and that leads to a lot of culture war stuff. And really, I mean, that is a hyper, and if you're doing it on the left, guess what? That's a hyper patriarchal way of trying to assert and colonize the other based on your explicit viewpoint. That's I would call that the malevolent patriarchy. So, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna look at some comments. I'm gonna open this up. Oh no, I gotta talk about family stuff. So I have teenagers. I don't like to talk about. I mean, I mentioned this at the end of PVK's live stream, that a lot of the media stuff, and this is MJ, when MJ criticizes me about this, and is this distracting from your real life, and is this just like a cult where we're all like in a thing of groupthink? Well, good luck. Good luck putting me in any religious context where I'm not gonna negatively stir the pot. I'm not trying to stir the pot, but I'm a contrarian. I'm a very contrarian person. If I get around a bunch of people that think the same as me, I start to get very uncomfortable, and I'm automatically looking for the thing that people don't see. And so there are personal details that happen in my life, in my marriage, with my kids, that I don't talk about publicly online, because I think I have enough wisdom to not do that. Number one, it's not my business to share personal relational things. I can talk about my part of it, but I'm not going to air other people's stuff out publicly online, because that's not right. I don't think that's right to do. But I do have, I can talk about it generically. I have teenagers, and I'm realizing, number one, I'm realizing a number of things. That whole truth, this is where like people say you have like abstract truth, and then the truth gets down in your bones when you live through the reality of it. You know how people always say, and I don't know what this is based in, but this is one of those scientific truthisms that I've been talking about for a long time, or that people talk about, is that you don't have a fully formed prefrontal cortex until you're 25. That's when that is done. And your prefrontal cortex is where your rationality lives, right? I mean, can we look this up with AI? Prefrontal cortex. Look at that. Let's look at it. Let's share screen. Prefrontal cortex. One of the last places in the brain to mature. The prefrontal cortex is thought of as the personality center and is the cortical region that makes us uniquely human. Wow, bold statement. It is where we process moment-to-moment input from our surroundings, compare that input to past experiences, and then connect them, and then react to them. Somebody was saying this recently in some video that I watched, but I think it was, I don't remember what it was, but they were essentially talking about how delayed gratification is one of the biggest measures of maturity. This is very connected to Jordan Peterson. It's very connected to a lot of things, like sacrifice. The idea of sacrifice or gift, Nate, or something. You sacrifice the present. You forego immediate gratification. Here's a cookie. I want to eat that cookie. That cookie looks good. You forego the immediate gratification for a long-term, more robust, fully experienced physical health. How, if you forego eating cookies all day, you have physical health, and your body is more healthy if you eat healthy foods, so that you have mobility, you don't have joint pain, you don't, all that stuff, right? So you forego the immediate gratification for the long-term gratification. Another way to say it is like the marshmallow test, which is so cute. If you guys have never seen, can I just play the marshmallow test? I was telling this because I was also talking to my brother the other day about, not just marshmallow, about the the marshmallow test is so great. I want to play it. Can I just play the video without getting hammered? Can we play it? That's the regular speed. That's when it's jacked.
Okay, sit in that chair. All right, here's the deal. Marshmallow, for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one.
So cute.
But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? All right.
The best. Oh, that's the best. They will have a kid in here that is like one of my children.
I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come
amazing.
back.
It smells yummy.
It's the cutest. It smells yummy.
It smells really good.
Oh, so good. Yeah, that's the test. The marshmallow's poisoned. Oh, dude, he's like, I just gotta touch it. Ooh, I'll just take a little nib. Look at it. He's got some coping skills. He's distracted. Cope with it. No, buddy. Oh, yeah, there it is. Passing temptation. Just a little bit. Just try a little bit.
All right, so it's up to you. You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back.
How long is
Stay in the chair, okay?
All this?
Okay.
Am I gonna get flagged for this? Who knows more about YouTube? Put in the comments. Am I gonna get flagged? Am I in trouble? Pretending to eat it? That's help. Oh no! Couldn't do it. little. Delicious. The kids just lick them a little. Uh, oh, I'm trying. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
so I'm gonna leave and then I'll come back, okay? So you can either eat it right now or you can wait. Either way, okay?
This is
Okay.
my kids. You can eat it right now or you can wait. As they're explaining it. Yes. It's, I'll give you 2. That is fantastic. I think I for sure, if they'd run this on me, I don't know. I don't know what I'd have done as a kid. I think I would have waited because I was a chunkster. I was a heavy one. Me and Alan, previous chunksters. I'm still a thick boy. So, it's such a fascinating test, right? Because it's fractally true. Because what the marshmallow test is delayed gratification. It's sacrifice. Can you sacrifice eating the marshmallow right now for 2 marshmallows in the future? It's very simple, very basic. But I think it's a what is the data about the marshmallow test? Because I think it's been going for a very long time. Let's look. Share screen. I think they've been doing it for a very long time. So it's a psychological test where young children are presented with a single marshmallow and told they can either eat it immediately or wait a short period of time. But I think this test has been going on for whatever. So positive correlations. So it's a measure of delayed gratification. Studies following up with participants years later, because I think they've been doing it for decades, found that children who waited longer in the marshmallow test tended to have higher SAT scores, better coping mechanisms, and lower rates of substance abuse. Fascinating, right? Criticisms and limitations. Recent research has raised concerns about the generalizability of the marshmallow test, highlighting the importance of considering socioeconomic factors and suggesting that the correlation between early delay of gratification and later life success might be weaker than initially thought. Yeah, that's probably like hoax papers type stuff, but maybe not. they're just trying to be like, well, what about, yeah, I don't know. Who knows? I'm not going to talk more about that because I'll make people mad. So in my family, I'm just learning. So prefrontal cortex, right? It doesn't fully develop until you're 25. I am realizing more and more, and I talk about it in the corner all the time, right? I'm not anti-propositional. I'm very, I tweeted this the other day. I think it's true. My past has been apophatic. My future is cataphatic. I actually think the radical implications of the incarnation and that no one has seen the Father, but I and the Father are one. You think you see the Father, you see me. That whole thing. I don't believe in abstract, disembodied reality. I think all reality is bodied. It doesn't mean it's all physical, because I think there are spiritual bodies. I think there are patterned bodies. There are hyper objects, whatever you want to call them. But it's a body. A word is a body. Does a word exist? Yeah, it exists. I mean, you can write it on paper and then it has a body and a context. It has a text and a context. But a word also has a mental body. To say a word, take the word word. It has a mental body. You're imagining it. You're imagining its body. It exists in your imagination. So it has a body. It's just not a physical body. I think everything is bodied, and anything to exist is to be bodied. And to have time is to have physical body. We know that from physics. Time, relativity, Einstein, Interstellar. Watch the movie Interstellar. Time exists because of physical bodies. When you get outside of physical bodies, how does time work? I don't know. Read Rupert Sheldrake's book, The Physics of Angels. It's outside of my pay grade. But kids, back to kids, circling back. They do not have the capacity. They truly don't. I mean, they can like LARP. They can pretend. They're essentially like doing WWE rationality, but they really don't have a fully formed prefrontal cortex. And so they're not, I'm realizing more and more, like this is a truth that I know, is like they're not capable of reason. I don't think most adults are capable of reason, because it's hard. Like this is where Jordan Peterson, I need to go back into it. Dugan has a great article that he wrote, or series of videos. I think that maybe Millerman was talking about how to think, but Peterson talks about how to think, and thinking is actually very difficult. And most people have to do it out loud, which is part of what we're doing in TLC. They have to talk to think, because it's really, really hard to actually think inside your head, because it requires a lot of imagination. You almost have to split yourself and have a dialogue inside your own consciousness, because you have to talk, because you have to have, in order to truly think about something, you have to be able to see imaginatively the right-brained other, the option that you don't believe. In order to analyze something, to think between this and that, you have to truly imagine this thing as being legitimately true, or else you're not even really thinking. You're trapped in the silo of just ideological possession and just thinking this thought over and over and over and over and over. And that's very hard to do. I mean, there's probably only certain, within a bell curve, there's probably only certain demographics of the population that are even capable of doing it. And it's not, and it doesn't make them better. It's just different. And I don't think it's possible really for teenagers. So what that means is, like, you're having to constantly talk to teenagers about things that, not only, to quote that George MacDonald Lilith quote, not only they do not, but they cannot understand. And you almost have to play this WWE LARPing game with them and be super wise as a parent to navigate all of that without getting very frustrated, and without frustrating them. Parents, let's bring some Bible in, Paul. I'm going to quote the Bible, because Paul said my scriptural knowledge is slept on. So we have the simultaneous thing, which this was in Gilead. Oh man, now I'm getting fired up. I'm being my own inspiration. I'm my own inspiration. In Gilead, there's this great breakdown of this book, Marilyn Robinson. It's a wonderful book. I can see why it won a Pulitzer. Where they break down the 10 Commandments. RJ, I know you're my Jew on call right now. Tell me what you think about this. They say the 10 Commandments are broken up. There's 2 tablets, right? And the main character of Gilead, the John Ames, the pastor, the 3rd generation pastor, Paul, 3rd generation pastor, John Ames, read Gilead. It's worth it. It's a fantastic book. I'm allegedly allergic. That's true. Yeah. Your house is like death to me. It's full of cats. But one of the things that is said in that book is the 10 Commandments, and they say that the first 5 commandments, and I'm terrible at remembering this stuff. Okay, this is where my biblical knowledge is bad. Let's try to label the 10 Commandments. Lord your God, the Lord is one, right? No, that's the Shema. But like, worship the Lord your God, no graven image. And then no, the Sabbath is 4th. See, this is terrible. Honor your father and mother is 5th is the point of this. Sabbath 4th. What one am I missing? This is like trying to remember the 4 P's. It's impossible. Unless you're Jewish, or if you can't list the 10 Commandments, do they just kick you out of Judaism? But anyhow, the main idea from Gilead, let's not go too far off field into my inadequacies, is that the 5th commandment, which is honor your father and mother, is within the couplet of the first 5, which are commandments about God. Because that's kind of the idea, is it's God, and then the other 5 commandments are dealing with the rest of the world. So they're like almost horizontal, and the first 5 are vertical. But honor your father and mother is coupled with the vertical. That's just an interesting thing to think about. So simultaneously within a family, you have the commandment. Okay, back to families again. Honor your father and mother, that it may go well with you, right? I mean, it's for your good, essentially. I don't know that you can do that transactionally again, because back to Abraham and Isaac, and you cannot serve God and mammon. So you can, but like that is the promise. But like if you just try to get it transactionally for the promise, are you really honoring them? You know, that's prodigal son stuff. The prodigal and the older brother. You can do it transactionally. But then also, fathers, do not exacerbate your children. Do not put a heavy load on someone who's not ready for it, you know? And I don't think I'm particularly great at that. My whole life, and I've always done this with my kids, I've always spoken to my kids like they are my peers. And it's probably not a good idea. I don't, I've always, like, I talk to them like this, and they're just like, what are you saying? I think I've mentioned before, once I was telling my daughter to do something, and I was going through all my explanations of stuff and talking about it, and then my youngest, and then she was just like, Papa, but what should I do? It's just like, oh, that wasn't helpful to you? Just to talk about all the different dynamics of it all the time? Because she's in the mode, and then this is part of a natural development of people in classical education, grammar, logic, rhetoric. Most people are not really ready for the rhetoric, poetic, fully embodied owning of a thing until you're past the individuation stage, till you're past the teenage phase, until you get to that kind of collegiate level where you can make something become your own. And then you can truly be poetic and creative with it, co-creative. And having teenagers is hard because like I tend to live in the anxiety of the future. I don't tend to live in the regret of the past and the shame of the past a little bit. I live in the anxiety of the future instead of the present. And I worry about my children, and I worry about their marshmallow test ability to delay gratification, whether it's in screens, food, whatever. Because anytime you pay, this is the whole internet age, right? Because what you pay attention to, like even right now, you're watching this video, you're paying attention to this theoretically. You're not paying attention to something else. So and everything is a gift if you receive it as a gift. So this sacrifice or gift that you may be receiving, if indeed it is a gift, and God willing it is, otherwise, if this isn't a gift for you, if this isn't something that is making you into what you ought to be, log off, go do something else, go do something better. I truly believe that. Like yeah, absolutely. And for some people, and like, here's a general thing, back to the Aaron Renn conversation. I think in Christianity, and because of the nature of the person being the center and the locus of all meaning, what that means is that Christianity is universally particular, universal and particular. And so what that means is that it's going to look different for everyone. There is no generalizable truth for all people because everyone is embedded in a different context, and truth is relative to them, personal to them. There isn't an absolute generic objective truth that you can apply to all people outside of generics, outside of the good truth, goodness, and beauty. But like how that applies in all this particular context is relative. Welcome to relational ontology, unless you want to argue abstracted truth in some kind of substance ontology way, which I would argue is not wise. So, am I filling on the personal thing? It's hard to raise teenagers. This is what I'm realizing. It's really hard for me to offer my teenagers up as a living sacrifice in some degree, in like a white martyrdom of Isaac sacrificed on the altar to the future of God, and just be like, I tried to give you the best that I could, and you maybe rejected that, like the prodigal. My kids, I mean, and all it's relatively fine. Like I'm a dramatic person, but like I worry, I worry. I sometimes struggle with the faith of letting my kids live their own life and the decisions that they're making, but they have to, it's hard. Oh my gosh, you're such a troll in text, PBK. It's ridiculous. White martyrdom, red martyrdom. White martyrdom is the daily self-sacrifice being a living sacrifice where you're not physically killed and murdered for your faith. It's the daily dying is white martyrdom. Red martyrdom is where someone kills you for your faith. They murder you. I will ban you. Okay. I'm going to open this up now because it wasn't even inspired. I had nothing to talk to, and I talked for 40 minutes. It's ridiculous. So I will copy this. I will look at comments. I will pin this to my own channel. Changes. Channel. If I want to just play music on my own, McMo, come in here and tell me why should McMo sent me an audio yesterday about, because I asked about Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl and why it was good and cool, and tried to have it relate to me as I'm too old to understand Kendrick Lamar. And McMo sent me an audio about Kendrick and music, and I just fell in love with that guy even more so. No? Okay, you don't have to. It's fine. Don't come in. If you come in, I'm just going to compliment you and praise you, and we all know that makes you uncomfortable. Go to McMo's Ko-Fi. Give him lots of money. Tayo, give Tayo lots of money. McNo. Okay, I'm going to look at comments. People can come in and play. Okay, Super Bowl halftime was DJT. What is DJT? Prove me wrong. White martyrdom? What is DJT? I don't know what that means. McMo. What most people call relativism is actually holding true to a moral compass as it applies differently to different scenarios. I find religious fundamentalism, etc., tends to be far more relativistic. Well, in action, right? But not in theory. I was thinking about, I posted this, I think, to YouTube, but for some reason I went back to Lauryn Hill. Here's it's a little bit of hip hop, R&B culture. Lauryn Hill's Unplugged album, because she has this great song. It's so great. The whole thing is like, you want to feel inspired as a Christian, go listen to Lauryn Hill's Unplugged album. It's just like she's just talking, and she's super real, super authentic, just bleedingly earnest. She's basically preaching sermonettes in between the songs. And the songs are just like poetically, lyrically awesome. It's musically awesome. Adam Lives in Theory. It's such an unbelievably great song. Donald J. Trump. Oh, DJ. Apparently, I don't know. Apparently people were saying like the Kendrick Lamar things was like he was protesting Trump. Well, there you go. Metagelicalism, Protestantism, protest artist, speak truth to power, speak truth to that white Trump, good for you. All right. Yeah, Adam Lives in Theory. It's an interesting song because that's the whole theoretical thing. Oh, because I was talking about your comment about fundamentalists being relativists. Well, they are, because they pick and choose. They pick and choose which texts they want to believe, but then they go into biblicist mode when they're doing the Sunday school thing, and it's disingenuous because they don't apply the same standard across the board. What up, buddy? How's the dishes?
Scissors.
You want to tell us why you banned MJ, you mean old man?
I just couldn't take him anymore. just the psychological crap and the projecting and the
I do not like the psychoanalysis. I mean, because here's the thing, like I've said this to you before, I really love psychoanalysis. I actively try hard all the time not to psychoanalyze people because I try to treat people how I want to be treated, and I know it feels shitty.
Well, actually, the reason I banned him was it was on my conversation with Cassidy that he's like,
oh, I remember you said that. Yeah.
This failed project, and you guys are just, and it's like, Cassidy and Tayo and Matthias and David, these guys are sacrificing and working hard to make this this estuary thing go because they love it. And then you're going to dump on him like that? I mean, he can psychoanalyze me all day long, but he starts dumping on people for, doing stuff. It's like, forget you, buddy.
Yeah, that's absolutely. This is true of PVK. The only times that you've banned people is like you come for PVK, you psychoanalyze PVK. He's a good Christian, he'll take it. You come for his friends, and he gets upset. You come for yeah.
I'm very possessive about my friends. I don't like. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Cassidy's,
understand that, and that's
doing all this stuff. You know, she's got a 1-year-old. She's got another baby on the way. She's, you know, she arranged that whole that second week of my trip, and she's planning stuff. And, you know, I'm sure it's costing her money. She's doing all this work, and Europe is hard. And that's something that we don't understand. That every time I go to England, I hear from the Christians, and they're like, yeah, I don't let anybody know I go to church because, you know, I wouldn't get a promotion or a job or a raise because being a Christian is a weirdo. And it's just like these poor people in Europe, and we, you know, and it's hard in Europe. I mean, who would want to live
a real
there?
negative world in Europe.
Vacation, but
yeah. Aaron Renn's negative world. Europe's all over it. It's not cool to be a Christian. Europe has the most hustle. Yeah, that is the thing. I mean, Al, I'm gonna say this, and then Alan, you can talk. But that is something about MJ or anyone else is like you have to, and this goes back a little bit to my live stream on empathy. So like empathy can be weaponized. That there is legitimacy to that, but empathy is a very good Christian thing. And if you don't have enough empathy to and wisdom to know there are different kinds of people in the world, and that if you come after people pretty hard, there are some people who it will be very detrimental to them and very unwise to psychoanalyze them and break them down because they're just not constituted in a way that's able to stand up to that. You can't just psychoanalyze everyone. It will destroy some people. And so to just do it because you think you can and it's YouTube and it's just a comment, man, be nice. Be nice to people.
Well, and if he actually came on a live stream, you know, and Anselman's never come on, but Anselman will encourage and he'll criticize and he'll get upset. I mean, we see the full range of Anselman.
Yeah.
MJ is just this, it's very satanic. It's it just gets in there to be the accuser and get under your skin.
He's not going to like that word, Paul.
He hates it when I tell him he's satanic, but that's my opinion of him. He is.
But here's also the thing. Like, I think we have enough context in TLC, even when you say something's Luciferian or something satanic, I think you mean that in a powers and principality way. You're acting along the lines of what the Satan does, being an accuser. You're not making you're not accusing him of being a Satan.
It's not an ontological statement. It's a behavioral statement. He loves behavioralism. Well, there's one for you, buddy.
Yeah.
He hates it when I call him satanic.
Yeah. Well, if you hate it, it's because you're in the identitarian frame. Just realize PVK is just criticizing your behavior. What do you think, Alan?
I mean, I don't know. I everything. This is such an outer court that I'm like, whatever. I mean, it's like you could say any. I mean, like, I have no problem if someone wants to tell me how dumb Christianity is. If you want to say like you're an idiot, like whatever. Like, this is the outer court. Now, if like a close friend or a family member says like you're an idiot, blah blah blah, I might like listen up and take that seriously. But yeah, I mean, there's one thing there has to be a basic level of decorum. And people don't, people like to slam dunk on small talk and stuff, but that's like decorum. It's learning how to behave with one another. It's modeling behavior. It's what PVK does all the time in his randos is so. But yeah, you can go so far, but like, and it doesn't bother me, but like, yeah, there's on the one sense we have to be very thick skinned here and like open to ideas, but on the other sense, like if you're breaking decorum, that's just showing that you're not actually even playing the game we're playing, because that's what decorum is. It's like, okay.
I think that's well said. That very last thing. If you're breaking the decorum here, you show you're not even playing the game, really.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I've just realized there's a lot of. Have you ever heard of like convergent and divergent thinking, or even like Sherry will talk about synthesizers versus what's the opposite of that, versus like dividers or whatever. But like I'm a very I'm like relationally a synthesizer. So if like I see somebody outside, or like I pay more attention to MJ than anyone. I mean, he does comment more than any of the other comments, but this is my like, it's my own personal way of oh, my buddy called it, there's a great Russian word for it, but like my calling, part of my calling feels deeply resonant with me is like bringing in leaving the 99 for the one.
No.
Like I always do that. Even like if there's some sort of everybody thinking the same, I'm just like, this is uncomfortable for me. I got to go out and find the one who's not thinking the same. Like I want to talk to the other one, you know?
Yeah. But there's always the difference in like synthesis and in like there's a difference between going out to the 91.9, but there's also a difference between bringing them back and having them integrate with the 99. You know, it's like,
yeah.
And so it's also levels and, you know, but yeah, it's like, you know, it's the phrase like, oh, they're an idiot, but they're my idiot. It's like, you know, if you have this relationship, even someone you don't like, you can integrate, or like they're mean, but they're my mean guy, or whatever you want to call it. Like,
yeah,
you know, when you're playing the game, when you're part of a larger structure, you know, you need the principality, you need the container, the fractal nature, all that jazz. So if you don't have that, you know, it's just, you know, and I think some people like, you know, they get that feeling of being integrated, of being like, oh, they're pulling me in, they're catechizing me into the group or whatever. I'm being joined in. The outsider becomes, you know, grafted in, as you know, as St. Paul would say. But it's just like, yeah, but if you're breaking the rules, like, I'm sorry, like that doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. So I don't know. I find that to be important to make that distinction.
So this is the word that my buddy was telling me, my Orthodox deacon friend, who was saying there's apparently this Russian word within Orthodoxy, podvig, which translates to achievement in English, but also conveys a sense of bravery and heroism, or an act performed in difficult circumstances. And so like in Orthodox Christianity, podvig can refer to a way to participate in the divine light. For example, St. Simeon, the new theologian, wrote, as a candle partakes of light, so does a man through podvig take the divine light. But within Orthodoxy, it has like a context of like your own personal cross to bear, your own personal thing that's required for your salvation. And he was saying, me talking to like evangelicals about religious things is my podvig, which I think is funny. That's probably true. Like, I just can't. I'm like, you know, you can take the girl out of evangelicalism, but you can't ever take evangelicalism out of the girl, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Look at, we got a...
You're the girl?
I mean...
He's the bride of Christ, okay? He's the bride
I'm
of
non-binary. I'm trying to get that sweet,
oh my god,
alphabet money.
Go,
if you... Listen, if you are...
Big rainbow.
Gay, lesbian, bisexual, queer, any of those things, go to my Ko-Fi. I support you in all the ways. Alan's comment about decorum. Remember Ryan Bennett and his IDW protocol compared good faith conversations to early internet security protocols. Good analogy.
The note, the reason I jumped on in the note, or the thing you said earlier, was the universal and the particular. And I always, it's just funny because I feel like a lot of people just don't know what we're talking about at all. And
explain it.
And not a huge explainer, but whenever I get like a different discipline that it reminds me of, it always like a light bulb goes off. But there's a great Thomas Sowell book. I forget which one it was, but he talks about economics and how you can study business and economics, but not have a great business idea, because in the domain of business and economics, you have all these principles, you can get supply, demand, blah, blah, blah. But it's often someone who sees something particular to their neighbor, a need or demand that's only particular to their neighborhood. Oh, I would only understand that, I work in a mining community and everyone's knees on their pants are worn out. So we need a material that's tougher And that's what
Mhm.
mining, that's how we get denim. And now denim's super popular, but it doesn't start with, supply, demand. Like, it doesn't start with the abstractions. It starts with the particularity, which is someone in a mining camp being like, oh, everyone's knees on their pants are worn out. We need a material that's stronger than cotton, that's stronger than, whatever. And that particularity winds up, then you can model it and you can take like, oh, there's this big demand for denim. And that's why denim became very popular in these camps. And then it spread. And you can use all the business heuristics to then like explain what happened. But it had to happen at a particular spot, which is like this random dude in a mining camp. So it's like, just, the economists and the business people can explain it once it's happened. But it's that Soren Kierkegaard quote, like, life can only be understood looking backwards, but it must be lived looking forwards. So it's like, we can only be in our particular space. We can only have our particular experience. So it's like, are the universal principles of business being broken with the invention of denim? No, but it's being explained backwards by business, but forwards, it's only seen and created by someone who's particular to that moment of mining, of being in that experience of like, and then they have the muse moment where the idea comes to their head. So that was the point of just like, it's like, it's particular. Like, you can explain it completely with business or say completely with business, but you had to be that guy in that moment and have that idea that's completely particular that will never be written about in a business textbook.
Right.
And so it's that like particularity that then can be universalized, and you can pull it apart and be like, this is how it's explained in this model or that model, but it happens at a particular time and place.
I've listened to the whole thing and I don't really know what the topic of the conversation is. So
welcome to the corner.
Well, yeah, I did have a thought that maybe with the prefrontal cortex thing, like maybe we're going to wherever that verse is in the Old Testament part of like the eschatological vision, where it talks about how like a man that lives to 100 is going to be considered, like, to die at 100 is considered tragic. So maybe we're just moving in a progression where childhood extends all the way till 25, and then like we'll figure out, or I guess I wouldn't say childhood per se, but like we don't have like, because our society only accounts for people's like frailty up until like the age of 18, but that's like and then we let them go be exposed to chaos while they're still very impressionable. So maybe we just need to like reorientate our societal structure towards that goal, but not in an authoritarian way.
I have to do an ad for a product that the mailman just delivered me. Patch Band-Aids. These have no like microplastic, synthetic, Chinese things that leach into your skin from the terrible, evil Band-Aids that give you cancer eventually. These are bamboo Band-Aids without all the chemicals and coconut oil.
They actually make your wound worse, but it's healthy. It makes your wound worse, but it's healthy.
Yeah. The wound will fester and get infected, but the adhesive will not poison.
There's literally just leaves in there, like just someone put leaves in the nice container.
It's just a really nice no plastic container, but it's just filled with dirt. And you just pour dirt on it.
Dirt in it.
Yeah. If you really cared about your health, you'd die of dysentery like our ancestors did.
Yeah.
Also,
you would just
send all my money to my Ko-Fi at McMosav.
Jason.
Look, you guys.
So
TLC's greatest theologian is here, guys. Look
the
at that
almond tree
shirt.
has bloomed.
Look at that shirt. Are you like a sexy musician?
I wish.
The most epic video of Jason, I always hold dear to my heart, is him in his convertible cruising through the forest, just trees flying by.
Shirtless?
shirtless, waxing poetic in the sunlight, the blazing sun, his chest glistening with sweat.
That video has been saved and banked.
It's still there. It's still there. You can go get it.
That's
Cal Spellman, Ferris Bueller's Day On. No, this is like it's a $2 Walmart shirt. It was on clearance. I'm like, why am I gonna buy that?
Why do you have to ruin my fantasy? Don't tell me that.
What's your fantasy? But I don't shop at Walmart.
Tell me it was made by.
Oh yeah, it's
artisan.
out of bamboo actually, and it.
No bamboo clothes. Here's the thing:
no plastic in it.
Bamboo fabric is a bunch of bullshit. It's not really good. You think it's good, but it's not really good. Look into how it's made.
Okay, I didn't even know that.
Josh, what up? Gavin's here to convert us, all us conservative Trump lovers, and he wants to keep all the illegals here. Don't you, Gavin?
I had to join when I saw Jason hop in because I think he's the only person who's on board with the birth and growth of Christ within the robots.
I'm alright with it. Yeah, I just think people don't understand it. Yeah,
I actually think that's a very interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about the title. I'm kind of lost with the title.
Is it like
Josh?
The reverse of Alien?
I'm gonna mute you because you have background noise, but you can talk. Oh, PBK is leaving because there's too many other folks. But the title, I don't know. I mean, that was just a starting off point. The only thing I had to inspire me to go off of, I wanted to live stream, was Sam's talk with Aaron Renn. And I have been thinking about political stuff more lately because of Trump and Elon. And so I don't know. And it'll probably, whatever. It was just a starting off point to talk about Christianity. That's all I ever want to talk about.
What's metagelical?
Oh, are you really? Are you not watching PBK anymore?
I don't know what it means either.
I have not watched. I still give PBK money, but so I'm supporting the cause. But
that's good. Don't pay attention to what he's saying, but just keep the dollars flowing.
I'm sure Google gets most of that, or YouTube. So
this will be fun. I will try to define. I don't know that I've ever tried to explain metagelicalism. My understanding of it is that it is essentially the so like think about the iceberg. It's like the underwater spiritual body of America's religion. So like it's almost contrasted to the Collins's urban monoculture, like the secular urban monoculture, but metagelicalism is basically the idea that it's actually really religious and Christian, because I think that's probably true. So it's kind of this, it's the American inheritance, which is connected to Protestantism and then evangelicalism kind of, but
I thought it was like the melting pot of all the
it is that too.
Things.
Yeah.
So it's all the because there was all this fractioning in Protestantism, and then metagelicalism is everything being melted into evangelicalism.
Well, yeah, or like I think it's the good stuff. It's like anybody that's like trying to do something positive, like, because I think you could say like some Christians are metagelical and others are not. Like, because if you're trying to have your little community in the mountains, that's not very metagelical. If you're
you need like a little psychology and sociology, and then grab a little orthodoxy, and then you're doing the rosary or something maybe.
It's almost trying to integrate. So sincerity, authenticity, propylicity. Propylicity is trying to integrate your sincerity, traditional cultural inheritance with your own authenticity, whereas within the American post-internet world, you have to kind of do some a la carte choosing. Like, this is the thing, is like, no matter what, you have to choose. Like, somebody said this recently. There was an Orthodox video. Oh, I would love to talk about this, actually. No, he's not Orthodox. Barrel-aged
faith. Yeah, he is Orthodox. Yeah. I saw that. Is he? Talking about PBK. Yeah, he's Orthodox.
So I saw that. I haven't watched it all, but I saw that video, and he basically made some comment that I very much disagree with, where he was just like, what was it? It was something like he was saying he was contrasting and like saying you shouldn't do the like, oh, I want to choose this thing, kind of my secret sacred self. And I'm like, you can't get away from that. You have to choose. There is no not choosing.
I watched like 5 minutes of that video, and then I looked at his description of his YouTube channel, and then I was just like, I'm not going to agree with anything this guy says based on that. So I didn't keep listening. But I thought of something that was like a really good. It works for the metagelical thing, I think, but it also works for like what you were saying about just the uniqueness of persons or whatever. This is the point that a point of distinction that I wanted to add when you were talking about that. How God manifests uniquely in the life of every individual differently. So right. I don't know if you've ever seen this game. It's called Spot It. And it's like these little round cards,
Yep.
And there's like So there's like a million different symbols. But there's always one symbol on every card that will match with at least one symbol on every other card.
Right.
So or whatever, however that works. It's weird to figure out how they do it. So it's like, because you can look at two cards and be like, these cards, there's nothing alike. But there's going to be at least one thing that is the same on any two cards. And that's the unity, I guess, that, binds the multiplicity together. So I think in metagelicalism, we are really focusing more on where our symbols match with somebody, even if they are an outsider in the traditional sense, more so than looking at like, me and Jess, we got like 6 symbols the same, and I only have, so right. that's what it means to be brothers. But,
and it's almost like the relational step of faith where you're like assuming ontological synthesis and connection with the other person, irregardless of what you can name and see. So I mean, it is a relational move of faith, which is fantastic. But I think your illustration was great because that is a fun game. Also, Gabe always has these. Gabe, your mind is awesome. Metagelical peel top communion, but with real wine. He always has these comments where I'm just like, there's a lot going on in that. I love it.
Is my audio fixed, Luke?
It's worked. Yeah, it's good.
Sorry. I wanted to say something real quick. Sorry to interrupt the flow.
You're good.
I posted a picture a while back on Twitter that was tagged with you and Jess in it, and it's the one that's Christ and Job.
Was that you that made that?
Yeah, I told you I was going to send it to you because I have access to like a really good printer, but I don't know how to use it. So you probably have better luck printing.
How do I search for that on Twitter? I don't know how to use Twitter.
We'll be tagged in it. It'll be in your notifications down a little ways. I don't know how many notifications you get though.
Too many. I don't.
Here, I found it.
Did you? Okay, where? Put it up.
Can I share it?
Yeah, you should be able to present and share it. It is a cool image because what it is when Jess has been talking about all this Job stuff, I'm just gonna start calling you Job. He's talking about the image of Christ walking on the water, but then you describe it, Jess. It's your thing.
Yeah. Well, I had talked about that image of like Christ is walking on the water and Job is underneath. Like Job is sort of unconscious, upside down, but their feet are matching. But also it's all tied in with Leviathan as well. So he has Leviathan here swirling around Job, which is really nice. And so it's such a cool image. Because I thought about it in my own mind. I didn't picture it like this. And so when I saw this, it was really striking. It was cool. It's really nice, Josh.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's interesting that you were thinking about it because, I had this kind of image before I was able to put pen to paper, and it wasn't anything like this. It was kind of more of like an MC Escher image that sort of had it was like a reflected image, but like a water would, like it would be in the water, except it was symmetrical instead of a reflection.
Right.
And it didn't really communicate in this, but I had to use different elements to kind of.
Yeah. Well, it looks the how it's laid out and stuff is more like it has a more traditional icon feel, even though the colors are very different.
Yeah.
It's so I love that image. I reached out. So Josh, your image is cool. I reached out to Emily. Is it Verdun? Is that still her name? I can't remember. She got married, I think. But Emily Mudhut, who's like a corner artist she's been around for a long time, but she does kind of, I don't even know how you describe her art, like psychedelic.
It's like psychedelic for sure, but it's psychedelic it's like a lot of biblical stuff, but there's other stuff in there too that's more
right. And I told her after that conversation, I reached out to her and I was like, can I commission you to make me this picture that Jess is talking about? Because I would love to commission somebody for that. But it's because the way you described it, where's your description where you talk about like Job, the scales of Leviathan being the white crests of the wave, and like walking along and hitting and walking on the tops of the Leviathan. I mean, it's like one of the most symbolically rich, just
The
badass
scales.
images.
No, that's one of the strongest, like, compelling images for me is like scales for some reason. It's like the most tedious to actually incorporate into any kind of artwork. But
well, and I think it's just imagistically, it's like the white stone name and Christ in me, because it's walking on water of the chaos, order on top of chaos, on top Christ and the snake on top of Leviathan. And it's just so cool. Everything about it's such a cool image.
yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting trying to like communicate it like an image through words, but
and then you think, so what's the Job? Because Job's under the water, right, Jess?
Yeah. Well, because I was talking, I think it was in my conversation with Jordan Hall, I brought it up, but I had been talking to Joseph about this too. Like, how is Jesus and Job alike? Because there's, in ways, Job has a lot of typology that's similar to Christ. You know, he's like the innocent one that suffers and stuff like that. But then there's other ways which Job is not like Christ at all. And the one thing that's been the most striking to me is Christ, especially like in the book of John. Like, Christ is super conscious of what he's doing, where he's going, and how it's going to be accomplished. Like, he's just totally aware. And Job is the complete opposite. He's like, he doesn't know, he doesn't have any idea what's happening. And so that image of above and below the water is, it's a perfect psychological image of being unconscious and then being conscious, but having their feet touch is like that meeting of it's where Job and Christ meet, and they're sort of walking the same path. But
the world is happening to Job, and Christ is happening to the world.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
That is really good. I gotta write that out. What is okay?
Here, I'll share it. There's Job and Christ feet.
Is that what you said? I didn't do it as well as you. Is that right?
Yeah.
What does this
It is
mean
a
that I
great
didn't get raptured? Mitch, come explain yourself. I didn't get raptured. Left behind.
Who's this? I don't recognize this avatar. Are you a new person? Break the fourth wall. Come in here. Tell us your life story. No pressure.
We're really chill around here.
Yeah, look, we're just drinking coffee. What kind of a mug is that?
This?
No, that one's
Jason's.
basic. Yours doesn't have a handle though. Is that like a throne mug? Oh, look, we have
different types of. It's so metagelical of us to have different kinds of coffee.
See, I have the spot it with Gavin's water cup, but not his other cup. So.
Oh, look at my Look at my water cup. It has SpaceX. What does that mean for the TLC Illuminati?
Whoa.
Elon Musk is my friend.
What are you drinking water for, you hippie? Gavin, what's going on with AI?
I like to
Here,
hydrate.
The
With
people
AI?
in my industry are starting to get worried about their jobs. It's taken them a little long to figure it out, but they're starting to figure it out.
Tayo, tell us how much extra money you've made with your grift getting
Is
to
Kanye at
America.
90%?
He said he had enough to buy a ticket. Now he just needs enough to have his penthouse suite in the highest tower in Chicago. What comment? Maybe robots need to be Joe before they can be Jesus.
That's that question I asked a long time ago. Do they suffer? But
Well, if
Yeah.
you guys want to watch the video I just put out, everybody
On navigating patterns?
no,
everybody.
everybody is Job before they are Jesus. In just to think about like the idea of relational ontology, like from the evolutionary perspective, because you guys have heard Peterson. He talks about like he makes the connection with God cursing the woman's womb and making childbirth difficulty, and then he talks about there's an evolutionary arms race between like the size of our heads and our giant brains and the width of women's hips, and so I think he mentions that because I think he's thought about that quite a bit and wrestled with it, because what it means is that like human infants are the most dependent creatures in the world, essentially. Like they literally cannot survive in any form without assistance, and like those are like the first lessons that we learn. We don't even remember it really. Yeah, I have done lots on women's hips, and Jordan talks about it a lot with the ratios. He's obsessed with those ratios. But
and then he tweets about Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. Well, but even like the fact that humans aren't all like fuzzy, like chimps, because chimps are like pretty dependent. But within a few days, they can grip onto their mother's fur, and like so then at least the mother is like free from her obligation to a certain extent. She can go run around the jungle. But like humans, babies can't even hold in their own body heat unless if another person is holding them. And then like the solution that God gives, because this is a result of his solution to Adam and Eve's mistake, is to create this dependency. But then he also gives them the garments of skin, which is like I see as the institution of culture, because then Eve can become like a transhumanist marsupial. She can she can put the baby, she can keep it with her, and then regain the use of her hands. Yeah,
they have those wraps.
Yeah. So, but even Christ, like wrapping in the swaddling cloths, babies are still needing. He was dependent in that way, even. So it's just something to think about when people like have such a hatred for weakness or anything like that. You wouldn't exist if somebody else didn't have compassion on you when you were a weak and pathetic infant. So
just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, infant.
Well,
apparently I had a friend come over the other day, and I think I mentioned this. Did I mention this on a live stream? I can't remember where I said it, but apparently Americans, there's all these sayings that we have in America, but apparently Americans just like famously or infamously just cut off like the second stanza, which completely changes the meaning of the original saying. And apparently, like we looked one of them up the other day, right? It was someone. What was it? Oh, this was at church. It was a conversation at church, which is, oh no, I'm not gonna remember it. It's a great illustration. Oh, Jack of all trades, master of none. There's another line to that thing. So like you hear the phrase jack of all trades, master of none, and you hear it as a pejorative, like it's a bad thing. But the next phrase makes it into a positive thing. But Americans are just like, it's too long. We'll just forget the second clause. Oh, let me see. Full quote. Jack of all trades. Yeah, the full quote is jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than master of one. So that makes it positive.
Sounds like someone jack of all trades would say.
Whoa, bring in that critical theory. Rip it down. Tear it down. That's a power move. That's something a jack of all trades would say.
Well, hey, I mean, you know.
Why not be a master of all trades?
It's a darn good thing I picked up some other skills beyond what I learned at Bible college. So for feeding my family's sake.
Uh-oh.
Did I hear somebody talking about giant brain weak beings? I'm here.
Giant brain beings?
Yeah.
weak and pathetic beings, yes.
He just got out of his garments of skin womb.
Yeah. Pull yourself up by the mucus plug, won't you?
It's very specific.
The mucus plug?
Well,
Yeah.
I think
You can tell Chad's about to have a baby.
isn't that the whole problem with like trying to understand the Talmud too? Is that it's just all the first line of much longer quotes, and they're just having conversations referencing paragraphs in the form of words or phrases.
Probably. Chad, I have a... Go ahead,
Go
Gavin.
ahead.
Okay. All right, I'll talk. Chad, is that... So in these... Do you ever ask people when you're putting in like a double shower like that, if the people... Like, how often are people going to shower at the same time? Like, how practical is it really?
No,
I mean, I
would never ask such things.
You would never ask such a thing? I would. This is
If
why
it was my company, I might.
This is why
You ever
I'd be
install a
fired from all
triple
jobs.
shower?
For a throuple?
I don't know. Like, what do you...
Do you often see a lot of cameras and lighting equipment in these houses when you're working?
Well, it's funny because that's obviously where my brain went too. Like, is that what this is?
I mean, I'm guessing where your phone is set up right now is on like the sink, and you could set up a camera right there for just like a lot of live action shots.
Oh, I get what you're talking about.
Oh, pull yourself up by the mucus plug. Come on, Jess.
I don't understand it. I can't talk about what I don't understand. Actually, I can. I do it all the time.
You don't know what a mucus plug is? We all had one. Wait, no, we didn't. We were all...
I heard there was a website where people post pictures of themselves in bathing suits.
Oh, that's true.
I'm currently looking for a pair of wool swimsuits. Apparently swimsuits used to be wool all the time, and now we have all these synthetics, which I heard leaches into your skin. Which, I mean, I don't even care if it's true.
That's just what the wool manufacturers want you to believe.
Yeah, that's right. Those dirty capitalist wool manufacturers, like Sherry.
Cheap. Down with big wool.
Sherry told me that. Sherry said the only thing that doesn't leach into your skin. Sherry's knitting me a bikini brief.
Would a wool swimsuit shrink though? Like, is that what you want?
I mean, when you go swimming, everything shrinks.
Yeah.
I guess
I only want to wear stuff that seeps into my skin. So I'm about material acquisition.
I want my skin just full of stuff.
Yes.
Tayo, I'm not. God, there's so many pervs in here. Let's get some women in the comments so we can get rid of all the pervs.
Am I making too much noise?
No.
I mean,
what are the sizes of those tiles? 2x6?
About almost 3x10.
Well,
3x10s.
Maybe 2.5. Here, I'll get the real dimension for it.
I just ordered I'm going to just order tile for our bathroom. Guess what? Locally made tile. It is
2 3/8 by 9 3/8.
So like, yeah. So 3 by 10.
Luke, why
Yeah.
is it that I always have to come on your stream? How come you never come on my streams?
Well, lately I haven't been up when you stream, and then during the day yesterday you were doing like the tile stream I saw, and I couldn't for whatever reason. But I mean, truly, the most of the time I'm available for these things is only right now, and I'm feeling the itch where I have to leave in 5 minutes, which is what I said. So if Jess doesn't take over, I'm shutting it down. And I did do a little bit of a Jonathan Dumire unrecorded talk where he took me through my natal star chart, which I got cut off, which we have to still finish, which is fascinating because it really is. Like when he starts laying out all the stuff from like the time I was born and the stars, and then talking about what kind of characteristics and things that would mean. And I'm just like, it feels like reading my mail. That's all I'm saying.
Astrology
I
is
feel like I'm dropping in stature, or stock values dropping
Here
like rapidly in the TLC. Oh yeah.
No.
I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I'm all for it. That's what I feel. You know, and feelings are facts.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your feelings. Chad and I, Lance knows this, and Lance is a friend of both of us. Chad and I both have a lot of insecurities. We need a lot of affirmation. This is Chad Affirmation Hour. Let's go around a circle and everyone give Chad a compliment and tell us why
What are
you
you
value
doing?
Chad.
You're so weird. Stop it. But keep doing it.
When we were at the Northwestuary, Chad is a man of stature. I'll say that. He was tall. I thought he was short. I didn't think he was short, but I thought he.
You think I'm tall now? You should have seen me before with my mucus plug.
Yeah. Chad, you are not as tall as I thought you were in real life.
How tall?
And you aren't as short as I thought you would be.
I know. You said you were short, and you're not short, Luke.
I'm not that short. I undersell, I overdeliver.
No, that's good. That's smart. Because if you said you were tall and then I saw you, I'd be like, you're short, Luke.
It's one of those things where guys, so like I think I'm 5'9", but like most guys, it's like a basketball thing where I'm probably a little over 5'9", but I don't say 5'10" because screw that egoic stuff.
I'm 6'2", but I look like a basketball.
Yeah.
Which is true. Like, I'm quite round. I'm probably more round in person than I was on the screen.
Lance just said, I love you, Luke and Chad. You are smart and handsome.
Oh, stop it, Lance.
Dave says, Chad and PVK are giants to me. I am not tall, 5'10".
I don't even know what this means. What does it mean to be a BPD art hoe?
A BPD art hoe? A bipolar disorder?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's right.
That's wow.
Probably true.
Wow, McMo, that is mean. I am planning, I think so. I know Dave W. and McMo are both in the comments. I'm hopefully going to go also to the Southwestuary. Who else is going to Southwestuary?
Where's
Isn't that
that?
going to be? Isn't that next year? When is it, Dave? Put it in the comments. Maybe you don't want to advertise this yet. It's not going to be very big.
What state's it going to be in?
I think it's going to be North Carolina, I'm guessing.
Oh.
What we also need to do is get some people.
Southwest, but okay,
I messed it up.
Estuary doesn't work as well. It's not an estuary. It's an
Southwestuary. It's Southwestuary.
Yeah, August 22nd. No. It's not going to be this August 22nd. That's when the Midwest.
It's in North Carolina. I should call
That's
it
the
Midwestuary.
Yeah, Dave, get your shit together. What is even
Is
happening?
Gavin the only one that heard my joke?
I heard your joke.
I didn't hear it.
I'm practicing being able to pay attention to everyone. So I heard your joke.
No, I said if it's in North Carolina, they should call it Incestuary.
All right, Jess, do you want to take over?
No, I gotta get back to work.
All right, we're gonna shut it down.
We need some paintballers. I just want to put that out there. Put a plug out there for paintball for Jesus.
Paintball for Jesus. The Thursday? Is it the Thursday before
Yes.
Midwestern? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, the 21st.
I do want
And
to
I
say.
can't. Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. After Chad. Finish.
Well, I can't do any of the organizing for it because I have a day job and a family. So, but I can tell you that if you guys want to do it, then you have to do it. Mucus plug.
Man, we're getting close to the baby birth. When's your baby due, Chad?
Like any day now.
Any day? The mucus plug is coming?
Is dropping. Yeah.
Dang.
Would you want the
save
baby
it?
to be born on Valentine's Day?
That's when I assumed that she would arrive. That's not what I want.
That's my eldest child's birthday.
Wow.
I'm sure she would think that was cool if somebody else had her same birthday. But
for sure.
Make it happen, Chad.
Chirac.
But I just wanted to, before this ends, I wanted to say that I think Luke is doing a great job raising teenagers. So we got to meet them, and they were nice.
Well, thank you for that. They are, well, like most people, they save their best for their parents, you know. They're the nicest to their parents.
Jen is doing a great job. I mean, what's her face is doing a great job. Sorry, Luke.
They're good kids. I think it's part of it. Really, all of kids is like, what's that proverb of like, train your children up in the way they should go, and when they're old, they will not depart from it. It's sowing seed.
You?
Nope, it's not that one. Nope,
Oh,
not that one. All right, final words, Gavin. Anything?
Give us some hope.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have no positive affirmations. I just want to bring everyone down.
Okay.
Well, my last words are, Chad, if you start a stream, I'll join it.
Okay.
I'm going to go channel demons doing yoga.
Oh, geez. That's not good.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes there is a line in yoga. Listen, it's Christian yoga, okay? Because this is metagelical. So I follow this DVD and they're saying it, but there's a line in it where they say the victory is in the breath. And like when you do yoga, the breathing is super important. Like if you're not breathing the way that they're breathing, you're not even arguably doing yoga. But because it's hard. Like I feel like I'm suffocating and dying basically every time I do it. It's so hard. But then they say the victory's in the breath, and I'm just like, yeah, spirit. The victory, yeah, spirit. Victory's in the spirit, you know.
Yeah, I mean, duh. If you're not breathing, you're dead.
True.
Jason.
Final words. Last word for you.
I don't have anything to say. I'm not the best theologian. Maybe that.
Brandish your firearms.
You're going to end this by saying you're not the best theologian?
This is just a shoulder brace, so I don't do this at my desk all the time. I wish it was.
It's like a tiny backpack.
Yeah.
He's just wearing like a 5-year-old girl's backpack around.
It's like
I am a rock musician. That's where I put my picks.
It's a Hello Kitty backpack.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right. On that, we are ending the stream. See you guys. Thanks for coming. Have a good day.
Bye.